Is it me, or do we have an obsession with superpowered beings being forced to duke it out? Opening in space, we see Jean and Superman working on destroying an asteroid that could possibly hit Earth. Though, of course, this could have been absolutely anything, as it's simply an excuse to have the Javelin be wrecked and Superman and Jean knocked out and captured by what looks like a spaceship full of Red Skull impersonators. The pair are taken to War World!
On War World!
With Superman likely being the next person to go up against Dragar, the current champion. For some reason, Jean is almost fed to some giant monster. I think it's because he's seen as weak, a mistake they really shouldn't have made. But luckily, Superman is able to save him, allowing Jean to escape while Superman is recaptured. Meanwhile, Hawkgirl, who'd been in contact with Jean and Superman before they were captured, goes to get a Green Lantern, with the pair heading out to find the Javelin and the trail of the ship that took Superman and Jean. Following the trail leads them to a hive full of scum and villainy, where they overhear news of Warworld and Superman, with of course Hawkgirl being her usual charming self.
All we want is information about our friends. You can talk to me, or you can talk to her.
Having tried to escape, Mongol, the ruler of the planet, creator of Warworld, sets up a fight between Superman and Dragar to try and both pacify the people and set an example. Jean works his way back into the arena, mixing in with the crowd, in time to see the beginning of the fight. The battle goes over well with the people as Superman eventually begins to best Dragar, eventually beating him into the ground. And holy crap, they're actually showing blood. Or at least as close as blood as you can get. Both red and green, all the Mortal Kombat colours of the rainbow. Superman refuses to end Dragar's life, which angers both Mongol and Dragar himself, so Mongol decides to execute him. However, Jean works up the crowd into chanting for Superman, forcing Mongol to stop. Superman is told of a chance to escape, but instead has them send Dragar, which as you can imagine doesn't quite settle well with him.
Don't be like so much garbage, will you? I won't forget you, Superman. Or the shame of my defeat.
Yeah, that might not have been the best idea. Hawkgirl and Green Lantern make their way toward Warworld, but are double-crossed and left on a barren planet, only to come across Dragar, now with a stylish scarification Superman symbol. Though, not sure why Hawkgirl asks this.
Dragar, that scar on your chest?
What about it?
I was just wondering. Our friend wore something just like it.
When the symbol really doesn't look like an S or even close to Superman's own symbol. Dragar offers to take the pair to Warworld whilst Mongol talks with Superman, blackmailing him into throwing the fight lest his home planet be destroyed.
You're too late. Krypton's already gone.
No matter. Any planet will do. Even Dragar's.
You can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this guy really is just a giant bag of dicks. As soon as Dragar is back on Warworld, he immediately heads for Mongol and Superman, whilst Hawkgirl and Green Lantern find Jean, learning of the death ray that Mongol has. As the three of them head off to disable it, Dragar arrives in the midst of the fight and learns of Superman's decision in sacrificing his own life for Dragar's people. Once Dragar learns that the death ray has been disabled, he beats Mongol into a fine pace until he loses consciousness. Dragar offers Superman Mongol's crown and leadership of the planet. However, Superman says that Dragar should have it, leaving with the others as Dragar looks on, ending the episode. This episode, according to Bruce Timm, was one of the most poorly received by the audience, possibly due to a running problem of Superman being made weak and vulnerable to harm that runs throughout the first season. And when I think about it, he's right. It does seem strange that Superman has fought Darkseid and never bled, but here he gets beaten around by someone of similar strength that is thrown about like a rag doll. However, there are also issues like Jean's powers being weakened by the atmosphere of the planet, which isn't explained, or the fact that his transformation from Mongol back to himself is to his Earth one and not his actual Martian form. So yes, there are issues with plot points and characters, but let's look at some of the positives, shall we? This episode begins the romance between Green Lantern and Hawkgirl that will last through 2 seasons and finally be fully established just before the end. Also, we have Superman's ideals being shown fully throughout the episode, only fighting when he has to, never taking a life, sacrificing his own for the greater good. It's a wonderful Superman episode. Which is slightly the issue. John kind of has no place here. other than being a go-between at one point and stirring up the crowd, something that could have happened without his help. Whilst it feels more like in the end, Hawkgirl and Green Lantern were a lot more integral to the plot. The two could have learned about the Death Ray upon seeking Superman and gone to stop it, which would have yielded the same results in the end. The moral message for the episode is fine. If you have power, use it to help. If you don't have power, don't be distracted by those who are using it abusively. That violence and death is never the answer, and neither is revenge. While the episode is good, and I can agree with the idea that making Superman weak so the plot can run isn't the best, it is often the go-to idea when Superman needs a challenge. It's pretty difficult to make Superman face up to something he might have trouble beating without it being someone like Darkseid or Brainiac. But at that point, you have to think, how can it be done? Things like slight kryptonite radiation could work, or him being infected by something or controlled. Although, of course, I realise that has also happened a lot over the years to Superman. At the end of the day, Superman fights a good fight, but in this war world, it only ends up at number 20. Hey people, and thanks for watching this video. If you want to see the next one of these a full day before anybody else, you can do that by supporting me on my Patreon page. However, if you're watching this on my Patreon page, then thanks for your support.